What kind of monster breaks a child's arms over a skateboard and smiles while doing it? That's the question I kept asking myself as I stood on my front lawn, paintbrush in hand, watching my son, Tommy, glide down the sidewalk. It was a Sunday, the kind where the sun feels like a warm hug, the grass smells fresh, and the world seems right. Tommy, my 10-year-old, was all grins, his too big helmet wobbling as he carved loops on his new board. He'd saved for month's birthday cash, odd jobs, even a lemonade stand outside the corner store. That board was his pride, his freedom. I called out, "Easy on those turns, bud, you're not a stuntman." He just laughed, his voice bright, bouncing off the quiet street. It was perfect. Too perfect. I should have known perfection never lasts. The scream came out of nowhere, sharp and raw, like a knife through the afternoon calm. My brush hit the dirt. That wasn't a dog, wasn't a scraped knee. That was Tommy. My boots were pounding the grass before I even thought, heart slamming in my chest, lungs burning. I rounded the corner and froze. My boy was on the ground, pinned, his face pressed into the pavement. Two grown men loomed over him, one with a knee dug into his spine, the other yanking his arms back like they were kindling. Tommy's scream cracked the air again, pure terror. Behind them stood a woman, platinum blonde, red blazer sharp as blood, arms crossed, lips curled in a smug half-smile. She wasn't helping. She was watching, like this was her damn play. "Get off him!" I roared, my voice shaking the air. The men didn't even blink. The woman tilted her head, sunglasses catching the light like ice. "Your kid's breaking HOA rules," she said, cool as a snake. "Skateboarding's banned. He was warned. Now he's learning." Her name was Linda Carver, head of the HOA, the kind of person who ruled this neighborhood with a clipboard and a sneer. I took a step, fists clenched. "You're out of your mind!" The guy holding Tommy's arms gave a sharp tug. Saw crack. Saw Tommy's scream wasn't human. It was the sound of a world breaking. I lunged, blind with rage, but the stockier guy shoved me back, hard. I hit the ground, palms scraping pavement, blood mixing with dirt. "You touch him again, and I swear—" I started, but Linda cut me off, her voice dripping venom. "You'll what? Call the cops?" "You're looking at them." The taller man wore a navy shirt, HOA patrol, stitched in cheap yellow thread. His badge was plastic, his authority a lie, but the pain was real. Blood pooled under Tommy's cheek, his helmet cracked beside him. Neighbors gathered, phones out, but nobody moved. They were scared, confused by the uniforms, by Linda's shadow over this place. "He's 10. I spat, voice shaking. "You broke his arms." "Both, actually," Linda said, checking her nails like she was bored. "Keep pushing, and we'll break yours too." I took a breath, one burning, shallow breath, and stepped back. Not because I was giving up. Because something older, darker, woke up inside me. Tommy lay there, barely conscious, my reason for breathing. Linda turned to her black SUV, smirking, gesturing for her thugs to follow. I didn't move. Not yet. But in my head, a clock started ticking. This wasn't over. Not by a damn shot. My legs carried me home, each step a fight to keep from charging back and tearing them apart. If I saw Tommy's broken body again, I'd lose it, go in blind, and that wouldn't save him. The front door slammed shut, the house too quiet, too wrong. I passed Tommy's half-built model plane, his sneakers by the couch, our life now a violation. The hallway closet waited, the one I hadn't touched in years. My hand shook over the knob, not from fear, but from a fury so deep it hummed in my bones. I ripped it open. Coats fell aside, revealing the safe steel, cold, a ghost from my past. I fumbled the code, cursing, Linda's voice in my head, saw obey the rules. He's a liability. Saw my fist hit the wall, pictures rattling. One more try. Saw click. Saw. The safe opened, and there it was, my FN scar, my last resort. I'd sworn I'd never need it again, buried it with the war I left behind. But Tommy's scream drowned those oaths. I pulled the rifle free, heavier than memory, colder than regret. My grip was steady now, my purpose sharp. Mag checked, loaded, safety off. Linda wanted rules? She was about to learn what happens when a father stops following them. Outside, the neighborhood felt fake, like a movie set before the blood hits. The SUV idled at the curb, engine growling, rear door open. The taller thug dragged Tommy by the shoulders, his legs scraping the pavement like a broken doll. My pulse spiked. Saw not my boy. Not like this. Saw I stalked forward, silent, boots crunching gravel. Linda stood by the car, phone in hand, preaching loud for the neighbors to hear. Per Regulation 5.2b, hostile kids can be removed by force if they threaten community safety. This boy's a disgrace. She laughed. Laughed. That was it. I raised the rifle. Put him down. My voice cracked the street like thunder. Everything stopped. Linda's smile, the breeze, the world. She turned, her confidence flickering. Mark, you're making a scene. I stepped closer, rifle steady. I'm making a promise. Let him go. The tall guy hesitated, then dropped Tommy like trash. The boy whimpered, barely alive. The stocky one bolted for the SUV. I fired a shot into the sky. The sound split the air, windows shaking, dogs barking, phones dropping. The fake cops scrambled for the car. I advanced, boots pounding. Next shot's not the air. Linda stepped forward, still thinking she owned the moment. You point that thing and I'll. I cut her off. You'll what? Call more fake cops? Break more bones? You lost the second you touched my son. The SUV's engine roared, but the fear in their eyes screamed louder. I whispered, I warned you, and pulled the trigger. The scar kicked hard, the SUV's rear window exploding in a shower of glass. The tall guy ducked, cursing. Linda screamed, You're insane! That's a felony! I didn't blink. You ordered the assault. You smiled while they crushed his arms. The driver floored it, tires screeching. I fired again. The rear tires shredded, the SUV lurching sideways, sparks flying as the rim chewed asphalt. It hit the curb, hard, shaking the men inside like rats in a cage. The stocky guy tumbled out, crawling, dragging a bad leg. Linda shrieked. Stop! You're out of control! I whirled on her. I begged, I bled, and you called my son a liability. You broke a child to prove a point. Neighbors watched, some filming, others frozen. Linda's empire was crumbling, her red blazer a joke. The SUV fishtailed, dragging its broken frame, smashing a mailbox. I didn't shoot again. I ran to Tommy, dropping to my knees. His arms were twisted, his breathing shallow. I brushed glass from his cheek, my voice cracking. I'm here, bud. It's over. But it wasn't. The tall guy burst from the car, limping, crashing into garbage cans, vanishing behind a hedge. I didn't chase. I was a father, not a killer. I cradled Tommy, tears mixing with dirt, his head against my chest. Sirens wailed, close now, red and blue lights flashing across the street. Linda stood frozen, mascara streaking, her power gone. One look from me told her everything. She'd crossed the wrong man. Cops swarmed, doors flying open. Drop the weapon! Hands up! I set the rifle down, slow, whispering to Tommy. Hold on, bud. Officers moved fast. One secured the scar, another covered me, a third checked Tommy, radio crackling. Linda lunged, voice shrill. He's armed! He shot up the street! Arrest him! The sergeant, grizzled, looked from her to me, to the blood on my hands, the scuffs on my knees. I didn't flinch. Those men aren't cops. They were dragging my son to a car with no plates. They broke his arms. Lies! Linda screamed. They're HOA enforcement. The sergeant's eyes narrowed. An officer stepped up, voice low. Witnesses say 2 men assaulted a kid. Doorbell cams confirm it. They're not cops, not even security. Linda's face cracked. They're with the committee, she stammered. Committee doesn't hire kidnappers, the sergeant snapped. Get medics for the boy. I sank to the sidewalk, adrenaline fading, Tommy still in my arms. I'm here, I whispered. No one touches you again. Night fell cold and sharp. Crime scene tape fluttered, lights pulsing. Paramedics worked on Tommy in the ambulance, his arms splinted, face pale under an oxygen mask. Across the street, Linda sat on the curb, no longer a queen, just a woman who'd lost. Her clipboard was EVY Denke now. A plainclothes cop approached. We got one guy bleeding, hiding by a dumpster. The others running, but not for long. Cams and phones got his face. Linda jumped up. He's a contractor. You can't. The sergeant cut her off. Under what license? What law lets you hurt a kid? She had no answer. I stepped forward, voice hard. You decided, Linda. You wrote the rules. You gave them power to hurt kids, and you smiled while they snapped his arms like twigs. Her eyes welled, but I wasn't done. You used fear to control families, and when I didn't bow, you unleashed your wolves. The sergeant nodded to his team. Freeze all HOA records. Get her statement. I turned back to the ambulance as they loaded Tommy. His breathing was steady, but he was broken. Linda's empire was dust, and she knew it. The hospital was too clean, too bright, the kind of place that smells like pain hiding under bleach. I sat outside Tommy's room, knuckles raw, hands stained with his blood. He was asleep inside, sedated, arms in casts, IVs dripping. A nurse and the plainclothes cop stepped out. He's stable, the cop said. Clean breaks. With therapy, he'll recover. I nodded, barely speaking. He'll be safe here, the cop added, studying me. You did what any dad would. Most wouldn't have waited. I looked up, eyes burning. I didn't wait. I planned. Alone again, I pushed into Tommy's room. He looked so small, scratches and bruises like battle scars. I sat by his bed, hand on the blanket. You were brave, kid. You didn't break. They did. My throat tightened. I saw the signs, Linda, her fake cops, the fear she spread. I still let them get to you. Never again. Tommy stirred, voice a whisper. Dad? I froze. Yeah, bud. They hurt. I know. They're gone now. He tried to smile, eyes fluttering shut. Outside, dawn broke, light spilling over the floor. I made a silent vow, not with rage, but with cold, clear certainty. No badge, no rule, no system would come between me and my son again. Whatever it took, I'd be ready. This wasn't just about a skateboard or a broken rule. It was about a line no one should cross. Linda thought power came from fear, from her HOA throne. I showed her it comes from something deeper: a father's love, fierce, unbreakable, willing to burn it all down. What would you do if someone hurt your family and called it justice? That's the question that lingers, the one that keeps you up at night.